We're gonna go read. No, Joshua. There's some funny books.
Anthony attends Dolores Mission School in Boyle Heights, just east of downtown Los Angeles. He is one of thousands of students who attends a Catholic school serviced by the Place Corps in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles every day.
There's so much life here. There's so much life-giving here. We know we have a mission, we have a purpose, and we're trying to help these children have a better future. They are our future.
We had a wonderful tradition of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet. They were here for 50 years probably, and they taught in the grammar school. Grammar school is 70 years old at Transfiguration here in Los Angeles.
And before that role was taken on heroically by religious women. And they are the ones that made Catholic schools work financially, the quality of education.
And we got to the point where there were no more sisters teaching in the school, and some of the sisters that lived here were getting more and more elderly.
I think Catholic education really right now is at a point of redefinition, because we were heavily dependent upon the religious in previous generations, and
that group of people no longer is here to do that. So who is going to become the next group of people?
LMU became involved in creating a Catholic Teacher Service Corps at urgings that came from multiple directions. First of all, the Archdiocese themselves. At the same time, Notre Dame's ACE program was probably about their 7th or 8th year about then, and we're actually looking for ways to help other universities around the country develop something similar. So this was the right time for the School of Education to begin a new venture that would support Catholic education, and that's when we came up with Partners in Los Angeles Catholic Education, and the Place Corps was born.
We started the PLACE program when I was dean, and fortunately got a lot of support from the university and from the Archdiocese. And it was a good thing to start a program with a lot of support.
PLACE is our anchor program, our signature program here at LMU, and PLACE has helped strengthen our other programs that support Catholic school teachers. Catholic Inclusion, our Catholic Principal program, our program in literacy and reading for Catholic school teachers.
The Place Corps is founded on 3 pillars of professional development, community, and spirituality. Members are full-time teachers in primarily under-resourced Catholic elementary and high schools across the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. During the 2-year program, Place Corps members earn a Master of Arts in Education from LMU's School of Education, as well as a preliminary California teaching credential. Members live with other teachers in small, close-knit communities that are spread throughout the Los Angeles area. This provides a vital support structure for the Placers. The spiritual pillar of PLACE allows members to reflect on how their own faith can impact their role as educators and truly be teachers with and for others.
I entered the Place Corps back in cohort 1, which I think was 2002. Place was taking on an identity all of its own. It really was, I think, a moment of grace for the 14 of us who were in it, coming together from our different backgrounds and making something of our lives at that point.
I received a phone call from Diana Murphy about the Place Corps. She invited me to a meeting with some other principals and explained the program.
This group of young people is in a very narrow niche of young people graduating or recently graduated from college. They're interested in service, they're interested in education, they're interested in giving back.
We have been involved in PLACE since its inception. What I like about the program is that, to me, it trains young men and women to be excellent teachers. It's the strongest educational program that I've ever seen.
We had 2 places take on the Christmas program. We have one that's going to take over our spring event. I mean, they're willing. They're just so willing. So much energy. The parents appreciate it.
I have great things to say about Place Corps. One of the things that I don't think has been mentioned that is kind of one of those intangible things you get when you get a placer is the spiritual and religious dimension. And
I never was nervous about who they were going to ask to come here because I knew we were going to get a good person and a good teacher.
There's an excellent working relationship between the Archdiocese, the Department of Catholic Schools, and the School of Education at Loyola Marymount. The Place Corps teachers, the preparation and the formation they're receiving are making a big difference in the lives of the young people in these schools and in the life of the school community, the school faculty. And if it just disappeared all of a sudden, it'd be a tremendous loss to the Archdiocese, to the children, to the schools.
Every fall, the Place Corps staff begins the search for next year's cohort. As the program has grown, its applicant pool has expanded and now draws from colleges and universities from across the country.
We need them to get to know each other. It's a matter of their bonding. They're all looking at each other like, I might be living with you next year. What is this going to be like?
When our new placers come on board, which is the summer, they just moved into campus housing on a Wednesday. Thursday morning, 8 o'clock, the carpool is leaving for the retreat center. And it's either 100 miles south or 100 miles north to one of the coastal California missions. This is their first serious experience in the Place Corps, and it begins with a retreat.
And it's, I think, the one-on-one conversations that happen with those members of the Place Corps. We'll talk about struggles in their school, struggles in their teaching, struggles in their own personal lives.
Like, I'm not really panicked about it, but it's just like...
Just ask the questions, ask for help.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I didn't do enough. I thought I had to know, and I still think that I have to know all the content. I have to be a master at it if I'm a good teacher, right? So, I mean, that's not necessarily the best attitude.
I feel like I'm going to go up there and just, like, ramble.
No. If anything, I imagine you'd be pretty organized, so...
I just find it a privilege to, as a person who loves education myself, to be with other educators. And you never know what's the conversations will be, but they're always very definitely grace-filled.
We do have a spiritual component to our program, which makes us unique and different from some of the other teacher service programs that are out there. And once again, we've had placers tell us that that component has been very important and very helpful to them.
So what we want you to do tonight, if you would like to use your lovely pad and pen to just jot down some ideas, some reflections.
I think it's interesting to see the placers as individuals throughout the year, and they're so professional, they're so adult. When you put all the placers together at a retreat or at a barbecue, they become their own age again.
Ah! Dang it! We were very good students. I can't do it.
One for alphabetizing student work.
Spelling.
Hey, here.
Spelling. Oh, are those math? Spelling. Spelling over here.
Correcting papers.
I just misplaced modifier.
Yeah. It's recycling.
This is the Carpool Lane, where 4 placers hooked together in a combination of a 3-legged race and a wheelbarrow race. Placers have to demonstrate the ability to work together and also encouraging carpooling on the way to work.
The Place Corps introduces members to the city of Los Angeles and its systems of freeways through a variety of activities and events throughout the 2 years. They are all designed to expose placers to the diversity that makes Los Angeles unique. Many Place Corps alumni choose to stay in the Los Angeles area and continue to remain well-connected through such roles as retreat leaders, community support persons, and professional mentors.
And within my 2 years, I saw a movie at the El Capitan, which is premier theater in Hollywood. I saw a concert at the Hollywood Bowl. I went to the beach multiple times in organized events. I saw various bits of LA. I went to the Museum of Tolerance. I went to all these different things that I wouldn't have gone to in my first couple years in a new city because I would be too busy trying to figure myself out.
And it hasn't been until I became a part of Place Corps where I've gotten a chance to explore in LA in a way that maybe I wouldn't have if I wouldn't have joined this program.
I really feel that one of the best aspects of this program is the academic side of it. The Place Corps students actually learn how to work with English language learners, they learn assessment, they learn to be reflective practitioners. We actually offer a graduate program that meets their needs, that's tied to what they do in the classroom. It's not separated from what they do.
If you want federal funds, well, they will follow this. And one of it is if a child qualifies for special education services.
It was a wake-up call for me as far as coming into the classroom and I saw all these young kids who were looking up to me. They were looking at me as a role model, and so I knew I had to provide positive examples and kind of show them.
I went to UCLA and I studied mathematics and I had an emphasis in medical and life sciences. One of the biggest difficulties is a lot of the girls are so used to the stereotype that girls are not good at math or they're not good at science, and I love using that to turn it on them and say, no, look at me, I'm a girl, I went through everything you went through, but in love with math and science, and I show them that they need to fight these stereotypes because they're capable of it.
So my name is Jasmine Ellis. I'm a senior here at San Gabriel Mission High School. Right now I'm in AP Calculus. I think it's just the way Miss Sala breaks it down for us through her PowerPoints and like how she's like open to tutoring no matter when.
This man is pulling this rope, right? And they say he's pulling it 0.15 meters per second. So I do the first term, which is x. What's the derivative of y? dy dx.
I think she has a really great balance between being strict and disciplined and actually having fun within the class. Like, just her enthusiasm kind of rubs off on you. So she really brought me into the subject. And I really was like, this is like really fun. I really want to be a sports and medicine doctor, so I'm really looking into kinesiology and physiological sciences.
A lot of times I tell little stories to them. A lot of my upper div classes had me and 20 boys. And for them to hear that and to have them know that I've survived it makes them want to try and do it themselves, and that's what makes me happy.
There used to be sisters that lived in this convent. And then about 2 years later, it was time for them to transition out. And I said, well, who's going to come and live in this convent? This is a good space. It's a wonderful spot. The sisters took such good care of it. It just seemed like there's a lot of different things we could do with this space, but how important it would be if we could continue the tradition of having teachers live here, especially teachers that teach in the Catholic school. It still is resided by those young people that are going to be the future of Catholic education.
We have flautas that will start serving some homemade salsa and guacamole that are one and only made. So we'll pray and then we'll get started. So,
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing all of us here tonight to sharing this wonderful meal.
It's kind of like the sisters in the old days that filled the schools and that filled the convents. You know, they went home, they sat around the dinner table, and they had a lot of mentoring going on because they could talk about the school day, they could talk about the classroom. A new sister would get that advice from an older sister because they were there together in the house. And I think the Place Corps teachers have that in common with the sisters of the old days.
I really like living with other teachers. I like it because I come home and they understand what happened, where you're coming from, or they have a story that's similar to yours. So anytime you come home and you have a bad day, there's someone else that's maybe had a good day, and so you kind of feed off that energy, like today my day was great and this happened, and you think, well, maybe that's what my day is going to be like tomorrow.
And having that support system, I think, is so countercultural today in a very individualistic society. I think it's important to be able to remember that we belong to one another and to be able to encounter one another in real ways.
Man, sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, and it's like, am I doing something right, or what's going on? You pass by the hallway, and maybe you're working on something, and someone has this great idea, or wants to just talk to you, or wants to share something, or to just hang out. Really helps get over that, and tells me that, hey, just keep on going. I'm gonna make it, and yeah, that's what I love about this.
It really is community where they all work together. They could not have made it through this program without their fellow community members.
And in terms of the spiritual development, what we try and do with the Place Corps is to provide opportunities for spiritual development.
And then to come into a setting where then they really frame their experience as teachers in the backdrop of our spiritual experience, of the fact that our experience of God.
It's their first year or second year, but they're still kind of struggling with this whole experience. First year teaching is difficult in any case, but you're living in community, you're going to graduate school, you're meeting new people. Every time you take a step to a new experience or a new career or a new job, there's inevitable struggle. And what tends to happen at that point too is you find yourself wishing you were back wherever you came from. So for a placer, they're probably thinking, gosh, senior in college, are you kidding me? If I could go back a year ago, or if I could go back 2 years ago. But you know in your hearts, no growth will take place unless you stick with this.
One of the things that we're finding that is common is that they are all willing to look at themselves where they are today and how they might grow.
Place kind of pulls you into communities that you wouldn't encounter in the first place. And we ask ourselves the question, well, why are they there? And why am I here? And what am I doing about that?
And any time that bridges are built between two cultures or two worlds, God is there.
If they have not changed between coming into the program and leaving the program, then we have not done our job. They mentor the Place Corps teachers so well that they want to stay. Once they finish the program, they want to stay.
We see a number of unique things that Place is doing, and this is why for the last few years we've had very high rates of our Place Corps members staying 80% or so beyond their 2-year commitment.
Every day across Los Angeles, current and alumni Place Corps members bring their energy and enthusiasm to hundreds of classrooms. A high percentage of Place Corps graduates choose to stay and teach in Los Angeles Catholic schools. Their presence helps to strengthen, sustain, and serve Catholic education.
The one thing we desperately need in our Catholic schools is leaders. From teacher to principal, teacher to administrator. We've already seen it in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles where placers are taking on leadership roles. I personally would like to see that aspect of the Place program grow.
Now, as the program has evolved and matured, our applicant pool is substantially deeper, and we work really, really hard to look for candidates to accept into our program that will be not just Catholic school teachers and role models, but be leaders in education.
Our principal and our vice principal are both placers, and so the leadership of our school is entrusted to the formation that Place has given these people. I'm delighted by that.
In my principalship job, what comes to mind is conflict resolution, accepting new students after the school year has already started, budget concerns, curriculum instruction, making sure that our students are learning every single day. It's kids crying, microwaving somebody's food, hundreds of emails a week. It's a lot of work. First of all, to be a principal, I think the primary function is that you are the instructional leader. Really, for you to be an instructional leader, then obviously you need to be in the classrooms and you need to really know what's going on. I try to go into classrooms once or twice a week for at least 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm writing down what I see, what strategies are being used, what's up in the classroom, the discipline policies. Just be really aware of what is the dynamic that's going on in the classroom. Those that are in place recognize, okay, this is working, but what can we do to improve? I've seen placers, current placers and former placers. I mean, my vice principal is a former placer. Usually these are the teachers that take a little bit of an initiative to either, you know, let's look at this program, let's revamp this.
I think the social justice component is really important to me, not only in education, but that's why I decided to join the Place Corps. The opportunity to serve in an inner city school and to be a part of a community of other teachers that were doing the same thing. As a doctoral student now, I see my position as more of an advocate for students to be able to hopefully occupy a position that would allow me to provide some of those services or to identify that they're needed and then to find ways for students to be able to be supported more completely in the classroom. And in inner city schools, that's a huge question because of the lack of resources. Yeah. And there's so much potential there too for students to just flourish if they can get the support that they need.
I think because of Place Corps, they know what it takes to get a community to work effectively. They know what it's like to balance a home life with their community, with a spiritual life, with an academic life, with a professional life. I think Jamie Collins, you know, the principal here, is someone who just has that natural ability to lead people, to get people to listen to him. You know, he and I make a really good team. He's very spontaneous.
A dandy? What's a dandy? I've heard of things are fine and dandy. I've never heard that term. I've heard of
And I'm more of a, well, we have to plan and we have to do this. And so as a principal, vice principal, we work really well.
If you look at a high school, if you look at any school community, the three pillars of the Place Corps, the spirituality, the community, and the education, that's what defines a high school, that's what defines a classroom.
So I think the unique role that Place plays as we look forward, look to the future, is actually providing a career option for lay people to teach and administer Catholic inner city schools.
And if I look at this school and I think, okay, a placer as principal, because I'm not going to be around forever, and
all of the administrators that are in the school, all of the staff, having been in Place Corps, I think that would just be a tremendous blessing for the church and for the school system in Los Angeles.
As the Place Corps grads continue to get experience in the teaching profession, in the Catholic school system, we're going to see 10 years from now many more principals and many more vice principals, department chairs, deans, and maybe even one day a superintendent of schools. What Place Corps and other programs like it do is they offer a real anchor to strengthen the Catholic experience. And as long as we have quality schools that are staffed by quality teachers and principals, like those coming through Place, people will absolutely want to invest in Catholic schools, and it will ensure the future of our Catholic school system.
But what you really see within the young teachers in Place Corps are people who are there to really build confidence within the students and to really form them as great persons.
He was going to go to third base, and by accident they hit him in the face, and there was an ice pack, and he came to home, and then I told him here where he could put it in his face where he could feel better. All the students feel like part of my family. I have many people where they could care for me and where they could protect me.